Welcome everyone. Today we're talking to Sunil Dowarkasing. He's a former global strategist from Greenpeace, and he's an environmental expert. And we're going to talk to him. He's based in Mauritius about the oil leak from the ship there that happened 2 weeks ago. About 1,000 tons of oil has leaked into the Indian Ocean. 500 tons has been retrieved, but there's still a big chance of the ship breaking, and the 2,000 to between 2,000 2,500 tons of oil could still spill. So Neil, you're based there, you're at the scene. What's the situation exactly now there?
The good news is we don't have any leakage from the ship since the last 2 days, and the weather conditions also have improved a lot. But the danger now we are facing, what we heard from the salvage team is that probably there's a huge probability that this ship now will break into two. And like you said, there are still 2,500 metric tons of fuel and heavy oil in the two tanks that are still quite. There are no leakage there. But government started also yesterday in a massive operation of trying to empty those tanks. So fortunately, we got a tanker this time, which of a capacity of around 5,000 metric tons. And if all the operation goes on well, so we would be able to empty those two tanks. I don't know how long that will take and how much oil have they removed yesterday. It's only in the evening that we'll get a feedback report. So this is actually the situation. On the ground, I would say that probably less intensity from the civil society, because a lot of them probably has gone back into their offices. Mm-hmm. So they come in and they join in the evening as well. The spillage has moved a little bit more on the eastern coast, from the southeast coast to the eastern coast. There's a lot of schema as well now working. There's a lot of more mechanization, cleaning up exercises are being carried out.
And there are now, the wildlife is extremely affected by this, and there's now fish are washing up and birds. And what is the impact of something like this? Even though it's not a huge oil spill, it still is, for such a small island, a huge impact.
I mean, where the leakage happen and where the wreckage happen, in fact, it's the largest lagoon of Mauritius, and it's very specific in the sense that this place also has 4 major marine ecosystems. 2 of them are Ramsar sites protected by law. There's one which is the Blue Bay Marine Park, which is protected by law and mm-hmm. has a brain coral which is more than 100 years old. So so this is sort of marine life that can be endangered and is being threatened. And the other one is a mangrove forest, which is another Ramsar site. But then you have a small islet, which is a biodiversity conservation islet. Mm-hmm. That islet has been restored in its indigenous state, like it used to be. Mauritius used to be 200 years ago. And on that island, you also have unique endangered species like reptiles and other chameleons and lizards. The red-tailed lizard, for example, is there. So that sort of life, animal life and marine life, which is being threatened.
Yeah, I want to show some footage. This is the ship itself. This is where it was, because there came, the ship hit a coral reef and a crack came in it. That was the first leak that happened, right? That's around 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is the only leak that we have had so far. There's only one leakage.
Oh, there wasn't a second leak. I thought a few days ago there was talk of a second. Okay, there was just one leak.
No, just one leak.
The state of emergency was declared on Saturday. Why did it take so long?
Well, that's the big question that everybody's asking around here. That ship laid idle without nothing much was being done in terms of salvation, etc. Mm-hmm. 12 days more or less it remained there until when you had the first leakage. Then everybody started moving around and trying to stop pollution. But I mean, that could have been prevented. I don't know what is the reason behind government taking so much of time to act on this on this issue when there was already the danger of oil spill, and which could have been prevented had they acted faster, earlier as well. So I believe it was gross negligence, mm-hmm. and we ended with a with this ecological disaster.
And I want to show, because locals stepped up in the last few days, in the weekend. And can you tell us what's happening here? Because they're making from, I think, leaves and human hair, they're making snakes,
I mean,
floating snakes.
yeah, they call it the booms. These are the traditionally made, locally made booms. So what they are using, not much hair, but it's all being, they are using straw coming from the sugar cane. That's the straw coming from sugar cane.
Yeah.
And inside it, they are just putting that empty plastic bottles
Yeah.
so that it floats, and then they just chew it all together. And these have been very, very effective to hold the oil. It's one of the techniques. It's one of the techniques, as well as the hair, but we don't have so much hair here. So
Yeah.
they've been using, this sort of technique. And I can tell you, without this genius sort of invention by Mauritian people, the damage would have been much, 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 much bigger.
What's going to happen to the ship now to prevent it from breaking? Because it could break.
Yeah, it could break. But to be very honest, I'm more concerned about the oil on the ship rather than the ship.
Yeah, but
As an environmentalist, yes, I'm more
Yeah.
concerned about the oil, and I don't want the oil to come and again leak inside the lagoon. So we are pressuring the government that everything should be done to remove whatever oil exists on the ship. Now, if it breaks, then we will see what will happen. But at least we will know that we won't have any oil spilled in the lagoon if we don't have oil on the ship anymore.
And then how do you take it off? You just take the tank off the ship and put it on another ship. That's basically what needs to be done. There are 2 tanks there full of oil still, and you have to take those off.
Yeah, exactly. You will have to use them. So they were just doing some very, slow operation using the helicopter, and you're filling vessels. But now, since yesterday, they've got a tanker which is very close by, so they are pumping directly from one tank to the other. I don't know how long those operations take place. I don't even know whether they operated during the night, which they should have. But I will get later. We'll get some information on how much oil has been removed and how much still remains in the tank.
And how do you, because the floating bombs we just saw, that stops the oil from spreading. How do you take oil out of the water and out of the sand and out of the...
Right. The thing is, like, oil is less denser than water, so it floats.
Yeah.
The oil will float. You just have to pump it. Skimmers do that. When it reaches if you retain it by these booms, and then you come over, with smaller boats, and then you just pump him. You just suck it from the ocean. So that is one of the means to do it. Those who have already polluted the shoreline, it has to be removed either by labor work, or you could use mechanization also. Vacuum, you could use vacuum pump as well. So, but the most difficult will be to remove it from the shoreline. And to remove it as well, there's a huge mangrove coverage around the coastline. So maybe 30 or 40% of that coastal line in the east and southeast is covered by mangrove. So removing that, the oil from the mangroves would be very, very tough.
Yeah, because I saw in previous oil leaks also in other countries that still fish or animals still eat. Like, it's so you don't just take the oil out. It's a very difficult. It stays for years. So particles still stays for years, and mostly animals are affected by that.
Yeah, exactly. When people say we are going to clean up, we can never clean up an oil spillage.
Yeah.
We can just mitigate. We will never be able to clean it up. So we don't make this mistake of saying that anybody will succeed in cleaning it up. The situation will never return as it used to be like 25 days ago. We'll never find the lagoon in the same state as we knew this lagoon. We won't find the mangrove plantation in the same state.
Because you say it will never look like the beautiful pictures we've seen in the past of Mauritius, like the blue and the lagoon and how long will it take for that to look like that again?
It will never come back like that. It will never come back. Let's be very honest. It will never come back like that. Probably on the surface, you might see, okay, the water you've regained the side, but deep inside, I would say the impact will be still there. Deep inside on the coral, in the coral, on the bottom of the lagoon, there will be still impact.